Welcome back to the deep dive. This is the place where we don't just scratch the surface of career knowledge. We bring a shovel and we really start digging.
That's right.
And today we are dissecting what is, well, what's arguably the single most critical factor in your career path in information systems. It's your digital identity. Think of it like your professional avatar. How confident, how capable, and maybe most importantly, how current does that avatar look to the rest of the world?
It's really the moment of truth, isn't it? You could be, graduating at the very top of your class.
Right.
Armed with a Master of Science degree. You've got deep knowledge in cloud architecture, data analytics, all the security framework.
The buzzwords.
All of them. But if that mastery is hidden, if it's behind this silent, non-existent digital curtain, then you are, professionally speaking, you're invisible.
Invisible, that's a strong word.
It is. We're moving past the era where a simple paper resume dictated your entire worth. We are now in the age of verifiable, always-on professional advocacy.
And to that point, I have a jaw-dropping statistic that really underscores just how serious this shift is.
Okay.
We all know employers check references, that's standard. But what percentage of companies do you think skip straight to social networking and online research before they even schedule that first interview?
So before you even get a call.
Before you get a call.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is it a minor thing, maybe? 30%?
You'd hope it's minor, but I have a feeling it's not.
It is far from minor. The most recent data from organizations like Career Builder, even from just last year, it holds at this staggeringly high baseline. 70%.
70. Wow.
70% of hiring managers are actively vetting you online. And I'd argue if you're applying for a technical role, something in information systems,
No, it's got to be higher.
I would wager that number pushes 90%. Your career, for better or for worse, it starts with a Google search of your name.
70%. So
yeah,
just think about that. That's not background noise.
Yeah.
That is the main signal. It means if your digital presence isn't optimized, you are basically forfeiting 7 out of 10 potential opportunities before you even get a chance to open your mouth.
It's like you're not even in the race for 7 of those 10 jobs.
That's absolutely right. And, specifically in the IS and tech sectors, this isn't just about vetting for character, though that's certainly part of it.
Checking for red flags.
Exactly. This is about validating the core competencies you claim to have. Are you just listing Python on your resume? Or can I actually find a link where you successfully applied Python to solve a real, verifiable business problem?
That's the key.
That shift from just asserting something to providing evidence, that is our entire focus for this deep dive.
So our mission today is to move you from being a passive credential holder to an active career advocate. We're going to provide you with the definitive roadmap for mastering what we're calling the digital trifecta.
The trifecta, I like that.
LinkedIn, GitHub, and your essential personal portfolio. These 3 platforms, when you align them strategically, they form the launch campaign for your entire career.
And if you're listening and you want to cut through all the noise, all the information overload, and get that actionable, deeply analyzed knowledge you need for career success, the specific insights that are driving hiring decisions in tech right now, then make sure to subscribe, like, and share this deep dive.
Please do.
That action, it just ensures you never miss the key insights and, the structural advice that's just so critical to owning your career narrative.
We're really grounding this whole necessity in a philosophy from Dr. H.Schuessler. He said, you can be the most qualified person in the room, but if your digital presence is silent, you may never be invited to speak.
It's so powerful. It's a reminder that your technical brilliance, that's only half the battle.
Only half.
The other half is communication and visibility.
And that's exactly why institutions that are serious about preparing the next generation of IS leaders, and here we're thinking specifically about, say, the Master of Science in Information Systems at the Dr. Sam Pack College of Business at Tarleton State University. They build this digital curation right into the curriculum.
So it's not an afterthought?
Not at all. It's not an extracurricular you do on a Saturday.
Yeah.
It's part of the professional preparation. You learn the technical skills, and at the same time, you learn the marketing strategy you need to successfully sell those skills to employers.
It's a holistic approach.
Exactly. Okay, so let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Section 1, the non-negotiable necessity of a digital footprint.
The non-negotiable part.
Right. So let's unpack this. We're submitting a clean, comprehensive resume. It details our education, our skills, our work history. Why is it that 70% of employers are still going out and conducting this this independent online investigation.
Yeah.
Is it just redundancy, or are they looking for something completely different?
It's a completely different kind of information. And I think the best way to frame it is to distinguish between verification and validation.
Okay, verification versus validation. Break that down.
So the resume is for verification. It's a checklist. Did you go to this school? Check.
Yeah.
Do you have this certification? Check. It's a structured history document. It verifies facts.
Right. It's the what.
It's the what. But the digital footprint that serves validation. It validates the how and the why. It provides that crucial context, the professional maturity, the behavioral insight that, a 2-page PDF just can't possibly capture.
Okay, so if my resume is my formal transcript, then my digital presence is like the live working video of me in action.
That is a perfect analogy, precisely. It lets a recruiter or a hiring manager do 2 critical things. First is auditability.
Auditability.
They want to see tangible evidence that the skills you list, SQL, Python, cloud configuration, project management, that they aren't just theoretical concepts you studied for a test.
Right.
They're tools you actually apply. And the second thing is cultural fit and communication.
The soft skills.
The so-called soft skills that are actually the hardest skills. Your online presence, it reveals your professional tone, your engagement with industry conversations, your ability to articulate really complex technical issues in a simple way. That validates your professional maturity.
That distinction is so key. Verification versus validation. I love the analogy we were talking about earlier, comparing the digital presence to an open professional window versus the static resume, which gets printed out maybe and then stuck in a filing cabinet. It's passive.
It's completely passive. But your digital presence is anything but. It is an open, always-on professional window into your work ethic, your continuous learning habits, and your capabilities.
Always on.
Think about it. Let's say you have a high-value data analytics project. You could write 5 bullet points on your resume summarizing the results. And that's fine.
Standard practice.
Right.
Yeah.
But what if an employer clicks a link to your portfolio and they see the actual Tableau dashboard? They can interact with it.
Wow, yeah.
And then they read your detailed explanation of the ETL process you used, and they see the actual SQL scripts on your GitHub. That single experience provides a level of depth and credibility that makes those resume bullet points almost secondary.
It makes them real. It brings them to life. And that depth is so important for information systems roles, isn't it?
It is.
Because IS, it often sits right at that intersection of technology and business. So we need people who are great at the technical side and also great at communicating the business value of that technical side.
Exactly. And the source material really highlights that showcasing these digital competencies is just as vital as mastering them in the classroom when you're engaged in project-based learning.
Which is central to a modern MSIS program.
It's absolutely central. That learning, it inevitably produces artifacts. It produces things. SQL scripts, requirements, documents, risk matrices, code notebooks.
The evidence.
The evidence. If your education is practical, then the presentation of that competency must also be practical and digital.
Yeah.
If you spent a whole semester mastering the intricacies of a NoSQL database, you need to showcase that work.
If you don't, it's like it never happened.
It makes your practical knowledge just appear theoretical, and that's a huge loss.
And this necessity, it just drives home that philosophy. Your digital footprint is the new first impression. It sets the tone before a single email is ever exchanged.
Absolutely.
If it's optimized and it's current and it's professional, it implies a level of organizational skill and self-awareness that is highly attractive to any employer.
Especially in these high-demand, detail-oriented fields like cybersecurity or data science.
For sure.
It just communicates that you get it. You understand the professional landscape. You understand that in today's world, if you aren't visible, you basically don't exist in the professional sphere. It's a prerequisite for even participating in the game.
Okay, so let's move to the foundation of that digital trifecta, LinkedIn.
The big one.
The big one. We're calling it the confident, current, and compelling handshake. It is no longer just a place to list your job history. That's old thinking. It's the personal branding platform.
It really is.
So if we want to move beyond the basics, what are the 3 most high-leverage, most important optimization tasks that we need to prioritize?
Okay, the leverage points. They're the ones that drive 2 things. Algorithmic discovery and human trust.
Algorithm and human. Got it.
The first one, and it's the one that's most often trivialized, is the professional headshot.
The photo.
The photo. And let me be clear, this is not about vanity. This is pure data-driven strategy. LinkedIn's own research showed profiles with professional headshots receive 21 times more views.
21 times.
21. And 36 times more messages.
That is just a phenomenal return on investment for a single photo. Why is that multiplier so incredibly high? Is it just the algorithm rewarding you for having a complete profile?
Well, that's part of it. It's a combination of algorithm and psychology. So algorithmically, yes. LinkedIn prioritizes complete profiles. A professional photo is a core component of completeness. But psychologically, it's even more important. A clear professional photo builds immediate trust and approachability.
It makes you a real person.
It does. In the absence of a picture, a recruiter has to rely purely on text, which feels really impersonal. A professional headshot, it acts as a proxy for a confident, genuine first meeting. It confirms you're serious about your career and you're willing to present yourself professionally.
Absolutely critical. So after the headshot, what is the second essential component that drives that discovery?
It is the custom headline. This is, and I'm not exaggerating, this is arguably the most valuable SEO real estate on your entire profile.
SEO, search engine optimization.
For you. You are the product. And most people just waste this space. They let it default to student or, even worse, currently unemployed.
Ouch.
Yeah. The headline has to be an immediately recognizable keyword string that reflects the role you seek and the value you deliver.
Okay, let's spend a moment on the mechanics of this keyword optimization. If a recruiter is looking for talent, what are they actually typing into that search bar, and how should our headline mirror that search?
That is the right question to ask.
Yeah.
Recruiters use Boolean logic. They use highly specific skill sets. They're not searching for smart student.
Right.
They are searching for things like SQL or Python and Boozy, data governance or cloud security. They're combining skills and concepts.
They're building a query.
They are. Therefore, your headline must use that same precise terminology. It needs to be packed with the keywords they're looking for.
So instead of the generic stuff, can you give us some specific examples, maybe tailored to different ICE career paths?
Absolutely. So let's say you're focused on business intelligence. Instead of student, your headline could be Business Intelligence Analyst, SQL, Power BI, and Tableau Specialist, Data Storytelling.
I see. So it's got the role, the tools, and the value proposition.
Exactly. Or for someone interested in cybersecurity, how about Security Consultants CISP Goal NIST Frameworks Incident Response Planning?
Oh, that's good. It shows your current focus, but also your future ambition with the CISSP goal.
Right. And for someone in cloud or IT management, IT systems architect, Azure AWS, project management, and process optimization.
Those targeted headlines, they just immediately convey utility. They don't just tell the recruiter who you are, they tell them what problems you are equipped to solve.
And that leads us right to the third essential component, the About section, which should absolutely not be a glorified summary of your resume.
Okay, so it's not just your greatest hits.
No. The source material strongly advocates for a three-part storytelling approach. It should show movement. It should show ambition.
The past, the present, and the future. I like that framework. How would that look in practice for someone in, say, an information systems program?
Okay, so part one is the present. You focus immediately on your current core capabilities and your focus area. You mentioned the degree you're pursuing, like the Master of Science in Information Systems, and your immediate technical focus. Currently specializing in enterprise architecture and advanced data modeling, be specific. Got it. What's next?
Part two is the past. And this is where you connect your prior experience, even if it's not technical, to transferable skills.
So for career changers.
Exactly. Did you manage a small team at a retail job? That's project coordination. Did you handle budgets? That's financial acumen and system acquisition. You have to translate your past for your future.
Brilliant.
And the last part.
Part three is the future. This is the ambition part. And for recruiters, this is the most critical part. You need to outline your professional trajectory. Something like, I am seeking a role where I can transition into IT strategy, leveraging my analytical and technical background to guide organizational digital transformation.
Wow.
This shows the employer that you're goal-oriented, that this isn't just a temporary job search for you, it's a planned career move.
That completely shifts the narrative from just a list of static achievements to an intentional career story. It demonstrates ambition, it demonstrates foresight.
That's the goal.
Okay, moving down the profile to the skills section. There can be 50 skills listed there. How do we prioritize the high-value IS competencies in a way that actually matters?
Priority has to be dictated by current market demand and the specific track that you're pursuing. You can't be everything to everyone.
Focus is key.
It is. For most IS roles, this means the quantitative, the infrastructural, and the procedural skills. So things like SQL, the database language Python for automation and analysis, the data analytics platforms, cloud computing AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and project management like Scrum or PMP methodologies.
And why do endorsements in those specific areas carry so much more weight than, say, an endorsement for Microsoft Word?
Because they provide third-party validation from credible sources. If I'm a recruiter and I see 50 endorsements for SQL and only 3 for Microsoft Word, I instantly know where your professional peers and your colleagues recognize your strength. Furthermore, when you're in a program like an MSIS, your faculty mentorship and your group work naturally lead to endorsements in those academic areas that directly translate to career competence. Things like systems analysis or risk management. Recruiters trust those endorsements from reputable academic sources.
Okay, here's where it gets really detailed and I think really interesting. The featured section strategy.
Yes, the proof.
This is where we move from just asserting a skill, I know Python, to irrefutable proof. Here is the functioning Python code. So what specific artifacts of competence should an IS professional feature here?
This is your digital display case, your trophy cabinet. It has to contain high-quality evidence. The first thing is professional certifications.
The low-hanging fruit.
It is. If you have a CompTIA Security Plus or an AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner cert, this needs to be prominently displayed with the actual certificate image. It shows commitment beyond your academic requirements.
What's next?
Second, direct links to your best work on GitHub. We'll talk more about GitHub later, but you need a link to your best repositories here.
And what about class projects?
Absolutely. Third is published class projects that demonstrate a sophisticated application of concepts. Maybe a full requirements document for a hypothetical enterprise system or a comprehensive market analysis you did on a new SaaS product.
Yeah.
Something that shows deep thinking.
And for those who are maybe writing about industry trends or doing analysis outside of their coursework?
100%. Feature relevant publications or long-form analyses. If you wrote a detailed analysis of, say, the implications of quantum computing on modern cryptography, feature that document or link to the blog post. The goal is maximum visual impact and immediate access to verifiable, high-quality work.
Okay, finally, let's talk about the human element of LinkedIn. Strategic networking. It can't just be random connection requests.
Right.
It has to be intentional, right?
It has to be a targeted campaign. For those in information systems, especially if you're tied to a growing tech ecosystem like the DFW area, you need strategic outreach across 4 circles.
4 circles, okay.
First, faculty and mentors. These are often your best initial references and professional conduits. Second, alumni. They work in the jobs you want, and they can provide a warm introduction.
The inside track.
The inside track. Third, classmates. They are your future professional network. Collaborate with them, stay connected. And fourth, and this is critical, targeted professionals.
So people you don't know yet.
Right. Identify specific companies and individuals you want to work for and send thoughtful, personalized connection requests that reference their work. Don't just hit the generic connect button.
That's a huge pet peeve for so many people.
It is. Say something like, I really enjoyed your article on cloud migration strategies. It shows you've done your homework.
And what about LinkedIn groups? How do we use those strategically instead of just being a passive observer in them?
You have to use groups to demonstrate engagement and a targeted focus. Don't just join, participate. Find high-value communities. Look for specific functional groups like IT risk and audit professionals or regional groups like DFW technology executives.
And then what?
By joining and actively contributing, and it can be small, just commenting intelligently on one article per week, you demonstrate that you're engaged with the current challenges and the dialogue in your target industry. And that makes you a much more attractive candidate.
It shows you're part of the conversation.
Exactly.
Okay, this is a critical section coming up because we need to dispel a major myth. Many listeners, especially those who are focusing on IT management, business intelligence, or cybersecurity analysis, they still have this idea that GitHub is only for software developers and hardcore coders.
I hear this all the time.
But the research just vehemently disagrees. So why should every IS professional, even the non-coders, have an active, curated GitHub profile?
It is such a crucial misconception to clear up. GitHub is a version control and collaboration platform, yes, But for IS professionals across the board, it is a public portfolio of technical process, auditability, and collaboration fluency.
Okay, say that last part again. Process, auditability, and collaboration fluency.
That's it. Recruiters aren't always looking for 10,000 lines of perfect Java code. They're often looking for evidence of technical process management, which is essential in every single IS role.
So GitHub demonstrates the ability to organize, iterate, track changes, not just the final product.
You got it. And this is quantified by the data. Stack Overflow survey found that a whopping 74% of hiring managers review GitHub profiles when they're evaluating technical candidates.
54%.
And that's not just for software engineer candidates. That means 3/4 of the technical talent screening process relies on this platform. If you ignore GitHub, you are opting out of the modern job market screening process.
You're just taking yourself out of the running for 3 out of 4 jobs.
Pretty much.
Okay, let's get into the specifics of how non-programmers can use this. If my focus is on, say, business intelligence or database administration, what high-value artifacts should I be showcasing on my GitHub?
Great question. For non-coders, the value is in the technical documentation and the data artifacts. So for DBAs or data analysts, you should upload your clean, well-commented SQL scripts.
Okay.
These can include complex joins, stored procedures, or maybe scripts you use for database normalization and maintenance. It shows you understand database integrity and structure.
And for the data
You
analyst.
should upload your Python or your R notebooks, the ones you use for data cleaning, for ETL processes, for exploratory analysis. Even if the final output is a beautiful visualization, the notebook demonstrates the structured, repeatable steps you took to prepare that data. It shows your thinking.
Right, and for people who rely heavily on visualization tools like Power BI or Tableau, you can't just upload a dashboard, can you?
Well, you upload the supporting material. And crucially, you upload the documentation that explains the architecture. You can and should include direct public links to your functioning Power BI dashboards.
Oh, you can do that.
Absolutely. So the repository can host the data source, maybe a CSV file, the transformation logic if you did it in Python or SQL, and then the final link. You're showing the employer not just the pretty visual, but the rigorous data pipeline you constructed to generate it.
Okay, here's a listener concern I hear a lot. I have these old, kind of clunky class projects from my first year of college on my GitHub. They look amateur. Should I keep them up to show my learning journey, or should I just archive them? What's the best practice here?
That is a fantastic practical question. It really gets at the difference between an amateur profile and a professional one. And while showing iteration is valuable, recruiters prioritize quality and current relevance.
Oh, quality over quantity.
Absolutely. Our advice is to archive or privatize those old, poorly documented projects. The one exception is if you can go back and significantly improve the documentation, specifically the readme file, to explain what you learned from that early attempt. But generally, quality is more important than quantity, especially for an IS analyst or manager role where clear communication and a clean process are paramount. You should focus on showcasing 3 to 5 high-quality, well-documented recent projects that align with your current career goal.
That brings us perfectly to the critical role of documentation. The source material puts a huge emphasis on the read file. How should an IS professional structure this file to really demonstrate business value, not just technical specs?
The readme is your chance to be a translator. You're translating technical work into business strategy. It has to be written like a clear, concise, client-ready business case.
Client-ready, I like that.
A successful readme structure includes a few key parts. 1, an executive summary. What problem did this project solve, and what was the quantifiable result?
Start with the bottom line.
Always. 2, the technical stack. What tools did you use? SQL, Python, AWS, be specific. 3, a process overview. A high-level explanation of your methodology. Did you use Scrum principles? Did you follow a specific data governance process?
And the last part.
4, key learnings or future iterations. This shows reflection and a growth mindset. If I were to do this again, I would incorporate. That's a very powerful statement.
So a strong readme, it really demonstrates communication skills just as much as it does technical skills.
It does. And speaking of process, let's address that crucial element of collaboration fluency.
Okay.
By using Git and GitHub for your group projects, you are showing recruiters that you are ready for a real-world team environment. We mentioned CI/CD earlier, continuous integration, continuous delivery. For a non-developer, why does just understanding this concept matter?
Yeah, that concept can sound really intimidatingly technical for an IS manager. Can you break down its relevance simply for us?
Of course. At its core, CI/CD is about automation and reducing risk when you deploy something new. Continuous integration means developers are constantly merging their code into a central repository.
Okay.
And continuous delivery means those changes can then be deployed quickly and reliably. For an IS analyst, consultant, or manager, you don't need to write the deployment pipeline. But using GitHub shows you understand the process. When you manage project documentation or requirements or test plans using Git, you demonstrate that you can interact with engineering teams in an industry-standard way. You understand the version control lifecycle.
You speak their language?
You speak their language.
Yeah.
And you understand the necessary steps to move a solution from development to production without causing organizational chaos.
So, in essence, you're just showing familiarity with the modern, rapid cadence of technical work. That has to be a huge differentiator.
It is. And furthermore, by using specific Git commands like knowing how to check the Git log to audit who made what changes and when you demonstrate process auditability.
Which is vital in regulated fields.
Exactly. Finance,
Yeah.
healthcare. You're not just listing Git on your resume. You're showing you've mastered the governance that it provides.
Okay, so we've got the Strategic Professional Network on LinkedIn. We have the verifiable proof of technical skill and process on GitHub. But as separate entities, they can feel a bit fragmented. So what's the tool that unifies this whole narrative, that ties all those links and projects and skills together into one single, cohesive, client-ready presentation?
That is the digital portfolio.
The digital portfolio. What core communication goal does it achieve that the other two platforms might miss?
The portfolio is your central hub. It's the comprehensive online case file that is designed to control and curate your entire professional narrative. It communicates three things at once.
Okay.
First, what problems you solve, the scope of your competence. Second, how you think, the rigor of your analysis. And third, what results you deliver, the quantifiable impact. It lets you move beyond the short-form constraints of LinkedIn and the code-focused view of GitHub to provide rich, context-driven storytelling.
And this shift from assertion to evidence, this seems to be the real game changer in the interview process.
It absolutely is. The research suggests that students who actively build and maintain portfolios consistently outperform their peers in interviews precisely because they provide evidence.
Can you give an example?
Sure. When you're asked in an interview, tell me about a time you handled a complex data migration. You don't just tell the story. You say, that's a great question. Let me actually show you the documentation and the architecture diagrams I created for that exact project. They're linked in my portfolio under the data governance capstone.
Wow, that's a power move.
It immediately elevates you from a promising candidate to a proven professional.
Okay, for our listeners who are just starting this journey, the idea of building a website can feel like a brand new technical barrier. It can be intimidating. What practical platform options does the source material recommend, and what are the trade-offs?
We have some excellent scalable options that range in complexity and cost. For the absolute beginner, the recommended easy entry point is Google Sites.
Google Sites.
The pros: it's free, it's tightly integrated with Google Docs and Drive, it requires zero coding, and it's extremely fast to set up.
And the downside?
The con is that it has limited design flexibility and customization. It can be harder to stand out visually.
Makes sense. What's the next step up?
For the more analytical professional, Notion is highly popular among IS and data science pros.
I've seen a lot of these. They look great.
They do. The pros are it's exceptionally customizable for content organization. It uses this sleek database-like structure, which is perfect for housing documents and links. And it's great for demonstrating systems thinking.
And the cons for Notion?
The con is it can take some time to learn its specific formatting. And while it's aesthetically very clean, it might lack that traditional website visual polish that some employers expect.
Okay, and for those who are seeking that highly polished, corporate-ready presentation, the top tier.
Then platforms like Wix or WordPress provide that robust infrastructure. The pros are full design control, strong SEO features, and the ability to use a custom domain name, which is huge. This communicates the highest level of professionalism and commitment. The con, of course, is that there's a cost involved, hosting, domain registration, and it requires routine maintenance and a slightly steeper learning curve than Google Sites. The platform choice should really reflect the career maturity you're aiming for.
Let's talk about that custom domain name for a second. Is it really worth the small investment? Does john-smith.com look that much better than sites.google.com/Jan-Smith?
It communicates a profound difference in commitment. A custom domain, like johnsmixes.com, it signals that you view your professional identity as a long-term asset and you're willing to invest in it.
So it's a signal of seriousness.
It is. It's cleaner for business cards, resumes, email signatures. The perceived professionalism instantly increases compared to a free subdomain, which can sometimes signal an amateur or temporary approach. It's a very low-cost, high-return professional investment.
Okay, let's detail the required elements. We need a definitive portfolio content checklist for the IS professional. What has to be in there?
Okay, the portfolio is a central repository, so the checklist has to be comprehensive. Number one, your resume, a downloadable, impeccably clean PDF version.
Easy enough.
2, the project section. This is the core of the portfolio. You need detailed sections for your capstone and maybe 3 to 5 key class or professional projects.
And for each project?
For each one, you need high-quality screenshots, direct links to the project's GitHub repository, and a detailed write-up that follows the challenge solution result format.
Challenge solution result, CSR. I like that. What else?
3, a reflection or blog section. A minimum of 3 to 5 thoughtful reflections on current tech topics. The security implications of zero-trust architecture, for example. This demonstrates critical thinking.
Shows you're thinking beyond the assignments.
It does. 4, credentials. Links to all your certifications, your digital badges, your transcripts. And finally, 5, links and contact. Prominent, up-to-date links to your optimized LinkedIn and GitHub, and an easy-to-use contact form.
That CSR format challenge solution result, that seems crucial. It forces the candidate to speak in terms of business impact, not just technical execution.
Precisely. If your challenge was, the client's data integration process was manual and taking 10 hours per week, your result must be, by implementing a Python-based ETL pipeline, we reduce processing time to 30 minutes, freeing up 9.5 hours of staff time weekly.
That is the language of business value.
That's what gets you hired.
So, the final philosophy check here on the portfolio. It doesn't need to be perfect when you launch it, right? What does the research say it needs to be?
It needs to be authentic, and most importantly, it needs to be evolving. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress here.
Get it done, don't get it perfect.
Exactly. Launch a basic site today with 2 strong projects and a professional resume. By treating it as an evolving professional document, you demonstrate a commitment to continuous learning and iteration, which is essential in the fast-changing field of IS. It also serves as a great real-time self-assessment tool as you graduate from the fundamental learning in your MSIS program to specialized career readiness.
This is great. So now let's move to the highest level of strategic thinking.
This brings us there. If your online presence is just a passive collection of facts and links, it's nothing more than a digital filing cabinet. The goal is to make sure your entire digital footprint is strategically aligned with the definitive career role you're targeting. This is the difference between just having a presence and having a launch campaign.
A launch campaign. So you have to tailor your content to that target role. Let's look at some specific IS tracks and detail how a professional should adjust their focus across the whole trifecta.
Okay, great idea. Let's start with a cybersecurity focus. Every single element of your digital identity must emphasize risk mitigation, security frameworks, and defensive measures.
How does that look on LinkedIn?
On LinkedIn, your headline references NIST, CIS, or the ITNCK framework. Your GitHub profile should showcase projects that involve penetration testing simulations, vulnerability analysis using tools like Wireshark or Splunk, and incident response documentation.
So you're not just saying you care about security, you're showing you're familiar with the industry standard tools and protocols.
You're speaking the language of the profession. The portfolio write-up should detail specific security controls you implemented or recommended, focusing on the governance and compliance aspects of security, which is often a managerial concern, not just a technical one.
Okay. Conversely, if a listener is aiming to be a business intelligence analyst, the focus completely shifts. It's all about data storytelling and insight extraction.
Absolutely. The BI analyst needs to demonstrate mastery of the entire data pipeline and the visualization layer. On LinkedIn, your skills should emphasize data modeling DAX, memquery statistical analysis, and data governance.
And on GitHub,
your GitHub projects should feature Python notebooks that specifically perform complex feature engineering or statistical testing, not just basic scripting. Show the rigor behind the visualization.
And the portfolio brings it all home.
It does. The portfolio should prominently feature dashboards you built using tools like Power BI, Tableau, or even advanced Excel. But the critical element is the written analysis.
Mm-hmm.
You have to use visualization principles, maybe reference Edward Tufte's principles of visual clarity, and clearly articulate how the insights you derive from the data led to an actionable business recommendation. Something like optimizing a supply chain or improving customer churn rates.
Connect it back to the money. Okay, finally, what about those aiming for IT management or IT strategy? Their work is often less about specific lines of code and more about systems thinking and organizational behavior. How do they align their trifecta?
The focus shifts dramatically. It's toward evidence of leadership, process management, and strategic oversight. Your LinkedIn experience section has to highlight project coordination, team leadership, even if it's academic or volunteer roles, budget oversight, and stakeholder management.
So the people skills.
The people and process skills. Your skills section should prioritize methodologies like Scrum, ITIL, or even just showing you're pursuing a PMP certification.
And what specific artifacts can they feature in their portfolio to demonstrate that systems thinking? That can feel a bit abstract.
They should feature project documentation that details the process of a system implementation. This includes artifacts like Gantt charts, high-level architecture diagrams, risk registers, communication plans, and system requirements definition.
The blueprints of the project.
Exactly. The portfolio should explain how that system implementation impacted the organization from a strategic perspective, cost savings, efficiency gains, or risk reduction. This shows that holistic, management-level approach that's taught in advanced IS programs.
And across all of these different roles, the power of consistency seems like the invisible thread that ties the whole trifecta together.
Consistency builds profound professional trust and credibility. It's so important. You have to maintain a consistent visual identity. Your headshot, the color palette of your portfolio, the overall aesthetic should feel uniform.
It shows you're detail-oriented.
It does. And furthermore, the writing tone. Whether it's in your GitHub README, your LinkedIn summary, or your portfolio reflections, it has to be consistently professional, measured, and targeted to your intended audience. This deliberate uniformity communicates that you are organized, mature, and reliable qualities that are highly valued in any high-stakes IS role.
And we cannot forget the need for routine maintenance. This is not a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Absolutely not. A stagnant profile signals a stagnant professional. The research strongly advises setting a quarterly calendar reminder, call it a digital audit, to perform maintenance.
A digital audit. I like that.
Use this time to update your presence with new certifications, any completed projects from the prior quarter, new publications, or even just refreshing your LinkedIn headline to target the current market needs. If you're enrolled in a program like the MSIS, you should be aiming to add new project artifacts every few months.
The ultimate takeaway here, which I think serves as a powerful metaphor for this entire deep dive, is that you are your own product. Your foundational knowledge, the stuff you acquire through rigorous academic programs, that's the product development phase. Your digital presence is the launch campaign that markets that product to the world.
And that campaign runs 24/7, advocating for your skills and your potential, even while you're asleep.
This has been just a deeply insightful look at modern career strategy. Let's try to briefly recap the core message here. Your digital brand works for you while you sleep. We've covered the necessity that 70% of employers are checking, and precisely how to optimize the 3 pillars. LinkedIn for your confident strategic handshake.
GitHub for verifiable technical process and auditability.
And your portfolio for unifying your entire career story into a single cohesive narrative.
And we understand this requires effort, it's work. But the key to success is to start small. We want to leave you with immediate, manageable action steps that are drawn directly from the research. You don't need to perfect everything today.
Okay, so take one of these simplest actions. Go update your LinkedIn headline right now with high-value, specific keywords that target your ideal job role. That takes less than 5 minutes.
Or commit to taking one existing class assignment, maybe a data analysis notebook, and publishing it on GitHub with a clear, business-focused readme file.
Or even simpler, just go and register a custom portfolio domain name today. Just start the process of active advocacy.
And remember, the ability to build this powerful digital presence, it's anchored in a foundation of critical thinking and practical applied skills. This is the value of leveraging the resources that are inherent in strong academic environments, using career services for professional portfolio reviews, faculty mentorship to guide your project selection and scope, and participating fully in the project-based learning opportunities provided through your curriculum.
The Master of Science in Information Systems provides that robust technical and strategic foundation. Your digital presence is simply the means by which you share that story, that foundation, with the world. It transforms academic competence into definitive career opportunity.
Well said.
So we'll leave you with this motivating question for reflection. What specific skill or project will you commit to publishing online this week to shift your digital presence from just passive information storage to active career advocacy?
Go make sure your digital handshake is confident, current, and compelling.
And if you are genuinely motivated to solidify this professional foundation and take that next strategic step in your career with flexibility, practical, applied knowledge, and future-focused preparation, we encourage you to explore the Master of Science in Information Systems at the Dr. Sam Pack College of Business at Tarleton State University. It really is designed to be a strong investment for those who are ready to fully own their career narrative and join that 70% who are discovered online.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. If this knowledge helped you structure your own career launch campaign, please subscribe and share it with someone who needs to start building their digital trifecta today.